Welcome to the Week 7 recap and reaction show on Fantasy Savvy channel. I'm your host, Joe Carlton. I'm joined here by my usual crew, Joey Brown, Dan Jewett, and Josh Boland. How you guys doing this evening?
Good.
Awesome. Jamie's already in the chat. Good to see you, Jamie. We're going to jump right into it with I'm going to go over some key injuries for, offensive players. I'm not going to get into the defensive players and every injury there was, but the fantasy relevant ones. Atlanta Falcons quarterback Michael Penix rolled his ankle during a play. I think he finished the game. It looked like he may have buckled his knee too as well. He kind of downplayed it after the game, said that he felt fine. So I don't anticipate him missing time, just something to keep an eye on. Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young with an ankle injury. He was ruled out. Backup quarterback Andy Dalton entered the game in the fourth quarter. Definitely something to keep an eye on. If Bryce Young is to miss time, it looks like Andy Dalton's going to take over. I don't know what that means for Tet McMillan and Jalen Coker and the rest of the Carolina offense, but looking like we're going to have a what do they call them? The red
rifle.
The red rifle. We're going to have a red rifle sighting. Chicago Bears tight end Cole Kmet left the game in the end of the second quarter with a back injury, led to Colston Loveland getting more snaps. This could be a potential waiver wire ad this week if he is still available on waivers. Colston Loveland's a name you definitely want to keep an eye on. If Cole Kmet misses time, he's the direct beneficiary there. Moving on, Green Bay Packers wide receiver Dontavian Wicks injured his calf and did not return. Christian Watson's due back in the next week or two, so Dontavian Wicks might be an afterthought at this point, especially with this injury. Moving on, we got Miami Dolphins tight end Darren Waller was ruled out with a pectoral injury. We knew it was only a matter of time before he picked up an injury. He's one of the most injury-prone players there are. If he is to miss time, that's just another shitty thing to happen to the Miami Dolphins this season. It just their season looks pretty much lost at this point. Big one in New Orleans, running back Kendre Miller, torn ACL in his knees, out for the year. This is good news for Alvin Kamara owners. I think we get a little bit of a revival. If he hasn't been efficient at all, but now when he was out, once the injury happened, Alvin Kamara took almost all of the snaps. Devin Neal was only on the field for 7 snaps. So, some hope for the Alvin Kamara owners going forward. What else we got here? Tyrod Taylor entered the game. That wasn't an injury, though. I think. What do you guys think? Justin Fields will probably be the starter next week, right? I don't think they're going to keep him benched.
I don't know how you keep playing him.
I'm not saying we're going to start him, unless we're in Superflex and you got no other option.
No, really, I know that. Yeah,
but. And then Washington Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels suffering a hamstring injury. Looks like we're going to get some Marcus Mariota again because, hamstring injuries usually at least a couple of weeks. So that's a significant one. Jaden Daniels is going to miss time again. And that's pretty much everything I got on the list for the injuries.
Jaden's MRI came back that it was low grade, and they acted like that was like the best case scenario. So maybe, their bye week's not till 14, so maybe he can power through. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Hamstring injuries are weird. If he plays and makes it worse, then it's definitely a 2 to 4 weeks. So, Mariota looked pretty good. The couple games that he did fill in. So. We're going to pivot over. I'm going to start off with the Thursday night game, Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game. We got our 2 Bengals fans here. What a win for them, 33-31. I'm going to say this. I said it on Thursday night. I'll say it again. This was probably the highest scoring unusual Bengals Steelers game script we've ever seen. We had a touchdown from 3 different tight ends for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pat Fryermuth getting in there twice. Aaron Rodgers throws for 4 touchdown passes. Kenneth Gainwell pretty much phased out with Jaylen Warren back. Jaylen Warren looked extremely good, 16 carries for 127 yards, added 4 catches for 31 yards, just under 20 PPR fantasy points. That's good to see. I have a lot of Jaylen Warren, so I'm happy about that. Jordu, 3 catches, 28 yards, a touchdown. Fryermuth, 5 catches, 111 yards, touchdown. Darnell Washington, 3 receptions with a touchdown. And that's it on the Pittsburgh side of the ball. On the Cincinnati side of the ball, Joe Flacco has revived this offense. It is official. Jamar Chase back in wide receiver 1 overall territory with 16 receptions, 161 yards, and 1 touchdown. His 30 to 40 point spike weeks are back on the map. A positive performance from Chase Brown. Good to see. He didn't find the end zone, but he did have 108 rushing yards on just 11 carries. He had 2 catches that produced negative yards. He would have had a nice 20, 30-yard reception if he didn't drop the damn ball on that 1 catch. But, we'll take it. He went over 100 yards, only netted 12 fantasy points, but we'll take that as a positive performance, and I think there's better days going forward for him. He's definitely a buy low candidate if you haven't tried to buy low already. T. Higgins, 6 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown. He's playing better with Flacco as well. He's got touchdown in back-to-back games. Noah Fant even got in on the fun, 4 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. Cincinnati Bengals kicker with a big performance, 4 for 4 on field goals, total at 19 standard field goal points, kicker points. And that's pretty much it. For numbers-wise, I'll turn to my Bengals fans if they want to add it. You guys, Dan, Josh, you guys want to add anything on this game? Any thoughts?
A couple things that stood out to me is while Gesicki's out, Noah Fant's pretty close to being a tight end 1, definitely high-end tight end 2. Look at the schedule the next few weeks. We've got some good matchups. This week's the Jets. My fear there is we don't need to score like we did this week, so it might be lower your expectations this week for your Bengals, but should be able to score a few points on the Jets, I would think.
I'm interested to see if this was more of a kind of an awakening, a coming out party for the Bengals offensive line, or was this just the most uninspired Pittsburgh Steelers defense I have ever seen? Mims isn't that great of a player at all, and he manhandled TJ Watt all night. I don't know if Watt was hampered with a little bit of an injury or something like that or what, but Watt did get to Flacco at the very end of the game. But other than that, I'm not delusional. Our offensive line is not that good, and that was a game that I was concerned about for Flacco with Watt, because he just eats our quarterbacks alive, and he couldn't even get around Mims. So I expect to see a different Pittsburgh Steelers team here in 4 weeks, but for the time being, I'll enjoy every second of it. So,
Josh, I think a lot of that was Flacco getting the ball out quicker than Joe Burrow.
Yeah, there's one thing about Flacco and Rodgers. It doesn't, the high total really shouldn't have surprised us because they both get the ball out quick. Like they boom, snap. If they're throwing it, they play high tempo. They don't waste too much time in the huddle. They try to keep a good pace. Both of those quarterbacks. Joey, I got to shout you out, man. You picked up Aaron Rodgers off the waivers. You played him over Drake May, and you got yourself 5 extra points in doing so. So you want to just walk us through that decision thought process real quick before we move on?
After Hendrickson was out, I had already picked him up just in case I was going to. When I seen him out, then I knew then I'm going to take a chance because I didn't know what to expect in Tennessee. I mean, they're a little bit better against the pass than what they are against the run. And then, of course, I left Bo Nix on the bench. I could have used him. I could have got more than Aaron Rodgers, but I did use Rodgers. And also to piggyback on this game, too, to help, these listeners out, Mason Taylor is who you want to stream this week if you're streaming tight ends. 17 targets but for the Pittsburgh Steelers tight ends against the Bengals. And then week 9, pick up Coastal Loveland if he's available. I mean, the next 2 games against the Bengals. I mean, that Bengals can win these games, but you can still stream these tight ends, looks like.
Right. Both of those guys have the Bengals in the upcoming weeks. That's a good call, Joe. As we've seen, the tight ends just destroy Cincinnati all year long. So,
and let me ask y'all: does Pittsburgh really need to use Freiermuth as their 2? I've said it. I mean, he's more athletic than the rest of them, and they don't really have a clear number 2. I mean, Roman Wilson, he ain't done much. So, Freiermuth could be that hybrid type player they need. I mean, he's probably going to go for some big bucks this week, but I don't know if he's worth that. I don't know what you all think, but could be.
Nice.
They target their tight ends more than any team in the league, but they consistently have 3 of them on the field that they're spreading the ball around to. That might have been the most targets that Darnell Washington has seen in the game. He usually gets his 1 or 2, but yeah, I mean, I think Freiermuth showed that at least in that position. Now he had the 67 or 68 yarder.
Right.
How is he the fastest guy on the field? I have no idea. Yeah. That blows my mind. But but yeah, I mean, hopefully Arthur Smith and the Steelers found something there and use him more. I mean, he's still a good player.
Yeah, he really is. He's talented. He could be really good.
All right, so Dan, we're going to go over to you. Give us one of your observations, takeaways from yesterday's games.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I know me and Josh were looking at this week was the return of Rashee Rice on that Kansas City offense. We took the sacrifice out in Vegas, and I think when we took him, it was usually in the fifth round. We might have 2 5ths and 2 6ths, I think, for Rashee Rice. So he was our wide receiver 4. So especially after getting decimated with injuries these last couple of weeks, we plugged him right in the lineup. So wanted to see what he did. Had 10 targets, 2 touchdowns. We all know the stats. Looked good, looked sharp to me. People forget he was suspended, but he's also coming off that ACL. So just passing the eye test to me looked great. What's probably scaring a few people I heard on the radio today was he only played 39% of snaps. Xavier played 57, and then the rest of the Juju, Tyquan, and Hollywood were on the 30s. But I looked at the targets. He had 10 targets, and the rest of those guys had 12 combined. So I fully expect Rice to just get ramped up, maybe next week, 50, 55%, and just keep on going. But I think you got yourself a wide receiver 1 and Rashee Rice. Mahomes looks outstanding this year. He looks like an MVP again. I really wish the Raiders could have scored, more than 0 points, so we could have seen some more offense there. But shout out to you, Joe, on Brashard Smith. Looked really good this week. For everybody that's got him stashed, especially when Kareem Hunt went down, he seemed to get a little bit more playing time there. So the other cool stat I thought from the Chiefs game was that is Andy Reid's first ever shutout. Mm-hmm. I would have missed that in the trivia. I don't know how it's never happened with all those Eagles teams, Chiefs teams, but I thought it was a pretty cool stat.
Nice. Now, let me ask you, Dan, do you think that Brashard Smith got more run during, a lot of it was in garbage time. Do you think that I mean, it's nice. It was nice to see the usage. Don't get me wrong, and he looks great, man. He
had 4 of those catches were in the first half. If I remember, that's just me watching, and I didn't look that back up. He was used more than sparingly in the first half. Yeah, he did get all that garbage time too, but it's just not. I mean, he looks like the best running back on the team to me.
He does. I agree.
He's not going to get 20 carries, but man, in that offense, if you get 10 touches, he's going to be a flex play. So he needs just a little bit more playing time. But man, if you got him stashed, I think you got yourself somebody there.
Yeah, I have a ton of them. I have them almost everywhere. So yeah, he was a guy I was drafting, and I drafted him and I held on to him. I wasn't dropping him. He was only getting those 3 targets. And 4 targets, 3 touches each week. But yeah, it was good to see him get involved this week. The Kareem Hunt going down. Missing time helps. So yeah, definitely positive notes there.
That's a good in the chat there. The Chiefs had 30 first downs. The Raiders only had 30 plays. I did not see that. That's incredible.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is an
Nice
amazing stat.
Nice, Albert. Shout out to Albert in the chat. He's always faithful listener. He's always in my shows at all the TSA shows. He's like Jamie. You throw on a podcast, he's probably in the chat somewhere. Moving on to Josh. Josh, what do you got for a takeaway, for an observation this week?
So Jacoby Brissett, he has made Trey McBride significantly better. We joked a couple weeks ago about McBride having being allergic to the end zone, and I think Brissett might be the remedy. He scored. McBride's got 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games with Brissett. He had 3 touchdowns total in 21 games with Kyler Murray. And then his points per game, he's at 29 and 26 the last 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And before that, he'd only topped 21 points like 4 times with Kyler Murray. So whatever Brissett's doing, whatever he adds, which, I mean, it's obvious compared to Kyler Murray, I would like to see the Cardinals just stick with Brissett and see where that goes for a while, because it makes the Cardinals a lot more fun team to watch. It makes it more competitive, and it's making McBride look like that second round, that first tight end off the board that he was being in some of those high stakes leagues. He's getting the big points, and that's paying off for the people that took the risk of taking him there.
Yeah,
Nice.
McBride's really good.
And the entire Arizona team is a better team with him at quarterback for sure.
I agree.
Joey, you got anything you wanna any observations that you want to share?
Yeah, Indianapolis we got to take him for real. I mean, JT has been the man. I mean, especially these guys who drafted him on the back end of the second round. I mean, he's just 9 touchdowns in 3 games total. He had 3 games of 3 touchdowns. And then,
he's got 3 games with 30 or more fantasy points, and he actually has a 4th game where he got 29.5 fantasy points. So basically 4 games with 30 or more fantasy points. He's averaging 25.6 points per game. That's definition of a league winner. RB2, the only one that's ahead of him is CMC. He had 94 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. He added 38 yards with 3 catches. He had 34 points this weekend.
And just also another name is Alec Pierce. Y'all think he's for real? I mean, 10 targets this week.
So me and Steve added him on one of our teams last week. If he's still available in your waiver wire, he could help you during week 8. Especially if you got, JSNs on a bye. There's tons of teams on a week 8 bye. It's pretty much bye-mageddon week. Alec Pierce had 5 catches for 98 yards for 14.8 PPR fantasy points. He had 10 targets altogether, which, Josh Downs is missing time, so that helps. In week 8, he's got Tennessee next week. We saw Booty just get deep for a touchdown on Tennessee in the New England-Tennessee game this week. So, Alec Pierce is definitely a flex option or a bye-week filler this week for sure. Michael Pittman continues to produce with Daniel Jones at quarterback. He's got he had 7 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown. He added a 2-point conversion to get him up over 20 fantasy points for the week. He's got 5 TDs through 7 games. He's the wide receiver 19 in points per game. So he's been a smash pick for you. You went in the middle of the rounds. He's a solid wide receiver 2, and you're probably playing him as a wide receiver 3 or a flex, depending on your format. Ty Warren continues to be a beast. 4 receptions, 69 yards, and a touchdown this week. 17 PPR fantasy points. He's got 3 consecutive games with a touchdown, double-digit fantasy points in every single game except for one, which was against Tennessee, which bodes another positive for Alec Pierce. Maybe they get Tennessee next week. Maybe Tennessee contains Ty Warren again, and that leads to even more Alec Pierce production. Just a little note, I mean, based on game plans and game scripts and tendencies. What else we got? That's it. That's it for the Indianapolis Colts side of the ball. We'll jump to the Chargers. So Indy won this game 38-24. Going in, I thought it was going to be a Justin Herbert passing game. I thought he was going to have to play out of his mind in order for them to beat Indianapolis. I actually thought the Chargers defense would find a way to slow down Indy's offense, and that definitely wasn't the case. Indy still put up 38 points, and it was the difference in the game. But Justin Herbert did have 420 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. He also added 31 on the ground. Huge performance from him. Keenan Allen had a bounce-back game with 11 catches, 119 yards, and a touchdown. He gave you 28.9 fantasy points. Quentin Johnston, first game back, his volume was kind of low. He only had 2 catches for 30 yards, but he did find the end zone. I think that's going to be a constant all year. He is a touchdown machine. Ladd gave us a typical Ladd floor game, 9 catches for 67 yards, 15.7 points. And as expected, because I did bet the Kamani Vidal under, he ran into the brick wall of the Indianapolis Colts run defense, and he only mustered up 20 rushing yards on 9 carries. He did chip in 4 catches to salvage a donut from the box score, but
his usage was up, though.
7.5 points total fantasy points. Well, he only had 9 carries for 20 yards, Joe.
Yeah.
So I mean, he is the starter. He is playing more than Haskins, but I think it's going to be game script and matchup dependent.
O-line's awful too.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all my thoughts on the Indy Chargers game. I'm gonna bounce it back to Dan.
The tight end was good too
Gadsden. Yeah, how do we leave Gadsden out? Jeez, Joey, tell us about Gadsden.
7 for 164 and a touchdown on 9 targets. So waiver wire darling this week, I'd imagine.
If he's still there,
he's still there.
He got 17 targets and 14 receptions in the last 2 games. I think he's officially in top 10 tight end rest of the season for sure. I left him out because I put him down first, and then I jumped, and then I was supposed to talk about him first, and I didn't. He was my biggest takeaway of the game. That's my guy. I have him. I drafted him, but I actually drafted him and held on to him in some spots, not just pick him up off the free agent list. But of course, those are deeper leagues with that doesn't have a short bench. So now I'll bounce it to Dan, and Dan, give us your next take.
Yeah, I was really curious this week after we talked about Carolina. I talked about Dowdle last week. I kind of wanted to see how it played out this week with Chuba coming back. So I kind of have to dig into the stats a little bit. Chuba played more than Dowdle. He had 38 plays. Chuba had 38. Dowdle had 32. Chuba had 14 carries, though, to Dowdle's 17, and only managed 31 yards to Dowdle's 79 yards. So, and then 2 catches and 1 catch. So moral of the story is I think you got a 50-50 split. I think we knew that coming in a little bit. But just to watch that game, Dowdle looks way more electric to me. way more exciting. So they've got to use him, I think, more. But Dowdle got the money, or Chubb got the money, so we know to follow the money a lot of times. So be curious to figure out where they go next. Buffalo's next week. So if they get down quick, you're going to have a lot of running back receptions with Andy Dalton in there. If Andy Dalton's starting, you think back to the Joe Mixon days, there's 6 or 8 or 10 running back catches up for grabs there. So I'm hoping to see more Rico Dowdle in third. But in a game that I thought they would get a little bit more yards running, I still like what I see in Dowdle. I still think he's the better back going forward, but you might have to be patient.
Nice. Also, Buffalo is not so great against the run, and it'll be Chuba's second game back. So maybe next week will be a pretty good gauge on who's going to have the upper hand going forward. But I'm with you, Dan. I think Dowdle for now. Dowdle. I mean, it could next week you could see Chuba go for 109 and Dowdle for 62. You never know. It's it's probably going to be somewhat of the committee going forward for sure. But I'm with you, though, Dan. Dowdle is looking better as of right now. Josh, what else you got for us, brother?
Can Canales turn Dowdle and Chuba into D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart and figure out how to maneuver that?
You're dating yourself, Josh.
I know. So I'm gonna talk about the Falcons and Niners game last night, which was a little bit of a tough game to watch, and it was just back and forth, and both teams played hard. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is just playing on just completely another level right now. I think I saw where in 6 of the 7 first games of the year, he's got 50 rushing yards and over 50 rushing yards and over 50 receiving yards, and that's the first time that's ever been done by a running back. But he's crushing it, and that's not my main focal point though. My main point on the Niners is that we heard Kittle was coming back. They bring Kittle back, and he was out there. He was running routes. He was getting his snaps. He only got targeted twice and didn't catch either one. So my notes here was that Kittle killed Tonjes literally, because there's no Tonjes in the box score, no Tonjes at all. But yet he ghosted us. Kittle ghosted us in the box score, and that sucks. I don't know. I don't know. I guess Falcons was able to shut him down, but that was a little bit frustrating. I myself didn't have Kittle anywhere, but I know there's a lot of people out there who threw Kittle in, and that was the first time in Kittle's career that he put up as a 0 in fantasy. And then Drake London, when Darnell Mooney plays, Drake London's fantasy production and his target share takes a serious dip. So that's something to watch moving forward. If Mooney doesn't play, then you can throw Drake London in your DFS lineups. You can use him in your prop bets or throw him in a parlay or whatever. He's going to get a ton of targets. But and another guy that's getting targets and honestly played well last night is Kyle Pitts. So there's a lot of positives there with the Falcons. They got they get beat 20-10, but there was still some positive takeaways there. From the looks of Michael Penix's injury last night, it looked similar to what happened to Joe Burrow. It wasn't as bad, and then he stayed in for the next drive, but he didn't have anything on his passes. Every one of those passes was off really bad, and so I don't know. It was his left foot, I believe, which he's left-handed, so that's his plant foot, and that could be an issue. I was really hoping to see Kirk Cousins get to come in and throw the ball around a little bit and see maybe see a QB controversy or something.
He sparked up, man. He was ready to go. He was standing right there next to the coach. Yeah, he was hovering around like, Coach, what do you think, man? But
he's been waiting for this opportunity for almost a year. But how Luke Farrell gets a catch and Tonjes just after as well as Tonjes played, he just gets thrown by the wayside. But one thing after the game, though, and this is, I know there's a guy that has a website, Coach Speak. The Niners after the game, I think it was Trent Williams, big offensive lineman. He's like, all week long, we were told this is going to be a Christian McCaffrey game. And they're like, what's that mean? And he's like, that means we're going to pass the ball to him. We're going to run him. Everything's going to run right through CMC, which I would think would be every week. But yeah, there's definitely some lessons to be learned there. But
Atlanta's pass defense has been real good the last couple of weeks too, and it's evident they completely shut down that Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne chemistry connection they had going on there. Juwan Jennings only, gave us a typical Juwan Jennings game, only 4 catches for minimal yards. He didn't find the end zone, and we know the entire offense just funnels through McCaffrey and the 49ers got it done with their defense and CMC like they do most games. So I expected more out of Atlanta's offense, but, Michael Penix looked like he was banged up in pretty much the entire second half, even before the ankle, knee injury or leg injury.
And that was pretty much with the Niners JV defense out there. They're running out of citizens in San Francisco to put on their team.
It's alarming for Atlanta because they're going to need to beat San Fran in order to win that division. I think it's going to come down to the head-to-head matchups there. But all right, so let's move on to Joey. Joey, you got any other takes, aways?
Is it Travis Hunter time now? I mean, all these people who gave up on him for a little, even one of our guys that you all know,
that's right.
Chris Vaccaro picked him up in a prime time this past Wednesday.
He was available? Wow.
Yes.
But I forgot to the BTJ wasn't on the injury report list that I went through at the beginning of the show, so I totally forgot to mention BTJ's injury. It looked like a shoulder injury to me.
Left shoulder,
yeah. His arms have been bothering him. Like he had the wrist thing early on in the year, and it's definitely a big game for Travis Hunter. Let's take a look at his line real quick. He had 8 catches for 101 yards and 1 touchdown. I believe he had 12 targets. Let me just double check that. 14?
Yeah.
14 targets. He didn't play a snap on defense until the second half, too. That's something to note. I think that they were already trying to want to get him more involved in the offense. And if BTJ is to miss time, I think they have to give him much more of a snap share on offense. So I'm with you, Joe. I think it is Travis Hunter time.
And maybe just a cheat bid here, which the box score don't show it, but 4 for 52, but 10 targets for Parker Washington. I mean, and he's on a bye, so you can probably pick him up cheap if you need him for 9. So I like picking up players when they're on the bye if I've got the room for it, because.
No, just another observation from this game. Bashal Tootin started to cut into Travis Etienne's snap share. Etienne only had 8 carries for 44 yards. Tootin only 5 carries for 22 yards. But Tootin's getting on the field a lot more often, and I think it's pretty much capping Travis Etienne's value going forward. This is a guy I'm kind of down on going forward. He started the season off pretty good, but he relies on big plays. Without the big plays, he's only got 3 total touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns on the year. Last 3 weeks, he's failed to reach 10 fantasy points. And just the entire offense struggling. And I think that's also affecting his efficiency, so to speak. So, yeah, Travis Etienne, somebody I'm not too big on going forward. Devontae Adams went off with 3 touchdowns. He didn't go crazy with the targets and the volume, but he is clearly their best red zone weapon. Kyron Williams not getting goal line carries. Blake Corum completely killing Kyron's fantasy value. That looks like a true committee. They each had 12 carries. Kyron was a little more effective with 54 yards to 37. And there was no one beneficiary from Nakua missing as far as volume goes. Adams, of course, had 3 touchdowns, but the ball was pretty much spread around. Higbee had 3 catches. Colby Parkinson had 3 catches. Jordan Whittington was a disappointment if you picked him up and streamed him. He only had 2 catches for 9 yards. Puka takes a lot more than one guy to replace Puka. So doesn't surprise me at all that the ball got spread around there. Matt Stafford with his 5 touchdowns, only 182 passing yards, but 5 touchdowns. He remains an elite NFL quarterback as far as I'm concerned. I'll argue with anybody there that tries to tell me he's not elite. He's doing what he needs to do to get the job done, and he makes those big time throws anytime that they need it. So we're gonna move on. I'm gonna talk about the Chicago Bears offense. I want to start with Caleb Williams. He was only 15 for 26, 172 yards. Complete non-factor rushing the ball anymore. He hasn't had he ran the ball a lot more last year. I think Ben Johnson's trying to keep him inside the pocket more and make him more of a traditional quarterback, which may take some time for him to get used to. Just jump to the box score real quick. Yeah, he didn't have any touchdowns. He only gave us 6.4 fantasy points, which was terrible. He's got 2 consecutive games with less than 30 pass attempts. I think that even when they played Dallas and he had 4 passing touchdowns, which was his best fantasy game of the year, he only had 28 pass attempts in those games. He had 3 games where he went over 30 and he got up in the 35-40 range, and the result was not as good for Chicago Bears as the team. They were decent for fantasy purposes. More pass attempts is always a good thing. But this is just a trend that I happen to notice, and I think that Ben Johnson's going forward is going to want to keep this keep his passing attempts right around 30 or under 30, and I think it totally caps his ceiling for fantasy, especially if he doesn't have a rushing upside anymore. I think a lot of that has to do with Kyle Monangai. Again, a waiver target if he's available in your league. Now, a lot of leagues, running backs are hard to come by, so maybe he's not. But if he's available, he's worth a pretty good bid this week. He had 13 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. He also chipped in 2 catches for 13 yards, so he's also able to catch passes. DeAndre Swift had a really good game, 19 carries, 124 yards, 1 touchdown, one reception for 14 yards, 20.8 points for Swift, 17.4 for Monangai. We know Ben Johnson likes to use 2 running backs. He did it with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he is trending towards using the running backs more often and limiting Caleb's pass attempts. I think this affects DJ Moore and Rome Odunze and Luther Burden the entire passing game. Odunze gave us a dud performance, 2 receptions for 31 yards. DJ Moore only 3 catches for 43 yards. He did have 9 rushing yards on 1 carry. Zacchaeus remains limited in the offense. Luther Burden was a big buzz. He was a big week 6 going into week 7 buzz. Maybe we were going to see him get increased snaps. That wasn't the case. I mean, we do know that DJ Moore ended up playing. He was off the report. He had this groin injury at the beginning of the week. That's what led to some of the Burden hype. But again, he was only on the field for 19 snaps. He ran 9 routes and only turned that into 1 catch for 22 yards. Cole Kmet went down with the back injury in the second quarter. That led to Colston Loveland playing 46 snaps. He ran 18 routes. He had 3 receptions for 24 yards. Joey, we mentioned him earlier. Colston Loveland's a name to keep an eye on. He's got the Bengals in week 9, you said? Is that when Chicago played? Yeah. So definitely another waiver priority if he's still available in your leagues. And that's pretty much it. We touched on the Kendre Miller injury on the Saints side of the ball. Alvin Kamara hopefully has better, his volume is no longer in jeopardy unless they go out and add a running back somewhere or they decide that Devin Neal is going to get more touches. But from what I saw, Kamara played pretty much every snap once Kendre Miller went down. So that's all I got from my takeaways from the Bears-Saints game. Dan, I'm gonna throw it back to you and give us your next takeaway.
Yeah, how about the so far the most exciting game of the year, in my opinion, and that's after watching the Bengals and Steelers on Thursday night, which is pretty exciting for us. But the Denver Broncos down 19-0 going into the fourth quarter, drop a 33 in one quarter. And I made this note: the Raiders have not scored 33 points in the last 3 games combined. So Broncos doing something right there. It's good to see 2024 Bo Nix. He was 27 for 50, 279 passing, and 2 passing touchdowns. Then he had 48 on the ground and 2 rushings. So if you started him in the NFFC, you got almost 47 points. So Josh and I got lucky. We started him once by necessity because it was him or Fields. So I'm pretty happy with the results there. When you look at the receivers, he really spread the ball around. I mean, he had 50 attempts. And honestly, if the Broncos had 50 attempts, I thought they'd get blown out. But Sutton had his 10 targets, 6 catches. Really nice to see them getting Marvin Mims involved. I just never understand why they don't get Mims involved, but 6 for 85 there. Ingram's looks like he's bouncing back from his injury, 5 for 42. Once again, R.J. Harvey, he had a 2-yard touchdown catch, and that was pretty much it. He didn't have any rushing yards. He's a stash. There's no way I'm starting him. But Dobbins looked pretty good. He had the 81 rushing, but just 9 fantasy points is kind of a tough week. But it's good to see Bo Nix back. I want to see what they do going forward. It makes me really wonder if Sean Payton knows what the heck he's doing sometimes. Where was this at all game? So maybe this opens up his eyes and they play a little bit more open offense starting next week. But yeah, I'll leave the Giants for somebody else. But what a game! Just a fun, as an NFL fan, a fun game to watch.
Yeah. What's crazy is you said that if you saw that Bo Nix had 50 pass attempts, that the Broncos would be getting blown out. They did get blown out.
That's true.
And then all of a sudden, the most amazing fourth quarter comeback in regular season history happens, and it's like, wow.
The other big story too is how good is this Giants offense? This defense is supposed to be top notch, at their house. So that's a piece of offense I want next year, especially. I know we're not done this year, but just Malik Neighbors with Dart and Theo Johnson, the running backs, the Wandale. That'd be a fun offense, fancy offense to have next year.
Especially, go ahead, Dan.
I just say Bellinger sniped Theo a little bit yesterday. I'd like to see more Theo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they were both effective. They both had 3 catches for Bellinger 88 yards and a touchdown, Theo 66 yards and a touchdown. Wandale did his thing, his usual floor game, 6 receptions, 95 yards. Scatterboo finds the end zone on a reception this time. He had 60 rushing yards, 34 receiving yards, 3 receptions and a touchdown. Tyrone Tracy actually looked pretty good. 9 carries. He got 46 yards and a touchdown. And Jackson Dart seems to be the real deal. I'm excited for this kid. I almost shit a brick because I thought the Giants were going to win this game and he was going to pull it out. Oh my! And it's sad that they didn't win. They missed 2 extra points, right?
Idiot kicker.
He had a couple bonehead passes there in the fourth quarter that opened the door for the Broncos. But I want to see how they bounce back from that, because that's a tough loss in confidence wise with Jackson Dart. I mean, I think he'll be fine, but I just want to see how they bounce back from something like that, because that's you dominate a fight for 11 and a half rounds, and the guy that you've got, you're just rope-a-doping him, and he catches you with an uppercut and you're down, and that's it. That's basically what happened in that game. So I'm really interested to see how Jackson Dart comes back from that, how he bounces back, and if his confidence is still there. And but I think it will be. I think the guy's got moxie.
Yeah,
he's got the it factor.
Yeah,
he does, man. And I say he's a QB1 going forward the rest of the season. His floor is tremendous. I mean, he did only have 11 rushing yards, but he scored that rushing touchdown, 283 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He gave us 37 NFFC fantasy points. NFFC awards 6 points for a passing touchdown. So where he had 3 passing touchdowns, that 37 pointer turns into 31 traditional scoring points. But still, 30 points is phenomenal. He's gone over 20 points all 4 times he started the game. I think his floor is there, especially if he gets in these barn burner games. He looks real good. And that's it. I think we covered everything. Scatterboo is an RB2, solid RB2 going forward. Tyrone Tracy, it's interesting to see, because obviously he's the clear 2 on this team, but he did look good last night in that game when he was on the field. And I think that's it. I think that's it for this game. What do you got? You guys got anything else?
I got one more thing that we should talk about real quick. We've talked about Bo Nix, and we've talked about Jackson Dart. And every time I went over to Dan's house this summer for a draft, he's got Justin Timberlake cranked in his basement. We're getting ready to draft, and he's like, when it comes to a quarterback, it's got to be May. Joe Carlton's got his Patriots pennant behind him, and he's pumped. He's so pumped for Drake May. And then he gets on this Jackson Dart kick, and all Drake May did yesterday was have the best QB performance in Patriots history.
In Patriots history.
Yeah. He did something that Tom Brady never did, and you guys didn't mention it, and I can't believe it. That's all I got to say about it. But
what did he do? What did he do that was so
21 for 23. He had the first perfect QBR rating of the season, but I don't remember all the ins and outs. It's one of those things where I think they might have had to dig a little bit just to be like, whatever. But that was something that I saw 3 or 4 times last night and today, that he did have the best statistic game in the history of as far as a perfect game in Patriots history. So
nice. Yeah, I told you guys I try to limit how much I talk about the Patriots. I don't want to go overboard with them. Plus, Jackson Dart, dude, how do you not love Jackson Dart? But anyways, I'll give a Patriots takeaway. I mean, is Trevion Henderson officially dead? Are we done having any type of hope? I mean,
did he get 2 touches yesterday, or was it just 2 snaps? Period.
Two carries. No, 2 rushes for 5 yards. I'll look at his snaps real quick. Let me see.
Why would you bring him in though? Look how good Stevenson looked yesterday.
Stevenson does look phenomenal,
He did look good.
and I always thought that Stevenson would still be but you would think that they would find a role for Trevion, and they just haven't. I guess it's a good thing. It shows the depth. I mean, he's a great depth piece, I guess, at this point. Maybe if Ramondre wears down as the season goes on, or he, his efficiency starts to take a dip. We do know that he has been somewhat inconsistent, but I think a lot of that had to do with how terrible the New England offense has been in the last couple of years. So, but yeah, Trevion is just a simple stash at this point. I don't know if I would drop him. I guess in leagues with short benches, if you only have 5 bench spots, maybe time to drop him. We got Mageddon coming up week 8. We got bye weeks all the way through week 14. If you need that roster spot, and you got more important players that you don't want to cut, it might be time. Who knows? We'll see. But I'm looking at his snaps right now, and he was on the field for 9 snaps, 4 passing plays, in which he blocked on 2 of them. So he only ran two routes. He only released twice, I should say. And he was on the field for 3 running plays total, in which he blocked on 1 of them. He had 2 carries for 5 yards on the other. I haven't even seen him in the special teams. They got Efton Chisholm on the return team now too. So I don't know what to make of it. Clearly he's not doing what he needs to do to get on the field, as far as Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels are concerned. So, I mean, they even had Terrell Jennings had just as many snaps. I don't know what he did for carries. Let me look. I was rushing. Terrell Jennings had 5 carries for 18 yards. So yeah, he got 3 more carries than Trevion Henderson.
Crazy.
And four more snaps total. Yeah, it's depressing. Depressing for all those people who took an early Trevion. Thank God I was off of him once he got past the 6th round. 6th round was the earliest I was willing to take him, and it's really the only share that I have of him. I traded for him in a couple of leagues. I bought low on him a couple of weeks ago, and so far that hasn't worked out. So, but I'm hopeful. It's a long season. We still got 7 more weeks of the fantasy season to go. So, maybe he'll get his chance at some point. God forbid something happened to Ramondre, or like I said, if he starts to wear down a little bit. But or maybe they're, I like to say, you hold it like you play gin rummy. You're holding your ace. You're holding. Maybe they're holding them until later in the year. But we did see Vrabel do that with Derrick Henry too. So it wasn't until late in his rookie season he started getting the proper usage. So we'll see. That's my thoughts on the Patriots. But other than that, they look great. Stephon Diggs started the game off slow, but he ended up getting his 7 receptions and giving us that 14-point floor game. So that was good to see. Booty got behind the defense for a long touchdown. And on the Tennessee side of the ball, without Calvin Ridley, nobody really stepped up. I thought this would be a prime Chig spot because the Patriots do give you the tight end, but it wasn't Chig. It was Gunnar Helm with 4 catches, 36 yards at tight end. He was the guy there, and DK. Shamir DK had a good game with 4 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. It was pretty much spread out. Amana, 2 catches. Van Jefferson, 4 catches. Tyler Lockett, 2 catches. Paul Evans
just got cut.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Did he?
Yeah,
Tyler Lockett just said, "Hey guys, I would like
Wow.
to be released. I've had enough of this place. Enough of this. Get me out of here. Let me
Nice.
go somewhere else."
So we have a question. Dan answered it via the keyboard, but we'll bring it up anyway. Should we start Booker and Evans? I'm definitely leaning Evans here. Evans was the one that was cleared to play way earlier in the week. Booker, as far as I'm concerned, probably shouldn't be out there. We were talking about this before we went live as a group. We kind of. My thoughts are I think Booker is just out there to take a little bit of pressure off of Evans' first game back. Maybe they use him as a decoy. I know, Joey, you like Cade Otton in this game. So
I was just getting ready to ask you all 2 minutes. do I lock in the Booker or do I lock in? I've got Otton in. That's hard.
I like Otton a lot more now that Ibuka and Evans are going to be on the field. I think whether they're decoys or not, that the defense has to pay attention to those two guys, and that's going to open it up for Cade Otton.
That's who I'm playing. I just locked. I had Ibuka. I had Otton, Ibuka. I'm just going to roll with the healthy player.
I mean, I think Tampa Bay is going to have a lot of pass attempts tonight. I'm anticipating Detroit to put up points tonight. If they're at home, this is a division game. They rely on their offense. Their front seven is big. I think Rashad White gives us another typical Rashad White game where he's not quite that efficient. He probably sees a handful of targets as well. I think the targets in general, the passing attempts for Baker Mayfield, they're going to be there tonight. So, how do you guys feel about the two waiver wire ads from Tampa Bay now that Ibuka is active as well? So it's kind of a big mess, really, trying to figure it out. But yeah, so anybody else, if you're tuning in right now, we appreciate it. If you guys have any questions in the chat, we got like 3 more minutes before we get out of here and watch these Monday Night Football games. So if you guys have any questions, here we go. We got one now. Let's bring it up. Would you trade Jefferson and Judkins for CeeDee Lamb or Rashee Rice and Judkins for CeeDee Lamb or neither? So giving up 2 for 1. No, I don't think I'm doing that. I'm going to say no to that because why can't you get a running back in return for Judkins? I think it's a little lopsided. I understand wanting to grab CeeDee, but I think Jefferson for CeeDee is pretty even, and Rashee for CeeDee is kind of pretty even. They're all wide receiver ones, and they're all top 5, top 10. I mean, you could argue Rashee Rice not being a top 5 wide receiver, but he's definitely in the top 10. We saw it. He played half the game and still produced the wide receiver 1 numbers. And he's clearly the most trusted target, but for Mahomes, and Mahomes looks great, and that offense looks phenomenal. So I'm not making that trade unless I'm getting something else on top of CeeDee Lamb. Guys have thoughts on any other thoughts? That's pretty much. I mean, I don't see how you guys wouldn't see it the same way. So,
right,
yeah,
agreed.
All right, so I guess that concludes the show. Then it's 7:00. We went for an hour. We gave as much information as we possibly could. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. Joey, Dan, Josh. Appreciate you guys making yourself available for the 6 p.m. start. Next week, do we have 2 Monday night games next week? No. All right. So next week, next week will be a 7 p.m. start right here on the Fantasy Savvy channel. Same 4 guys. Maybe Steve will join us next week. Not sure. But it's been a great show. We're going to get out of here. See you guys next week.
See you.